Okay. So, hello everyone. Welcome to day three, the final day of BizTalks held by the club ISTE and ITK. So, today we have a very special guest for y'all. So, she's a computer scientist from UIUC. She got into the NYU School of Business, and she's the founder and the director of Scholar Strategy. And she's also an author of the best-selling book on startups called No Shortcuts. So, our speaker for today is Nistha Tripathi. So, hi, ma'am. How are you doing?
Hi Navneet, I'm very good. How are you?
I'm very good. It's a pleasure to have you here. So we're
Same
very
here,
delighted.
same here. Yeah.
So shall we get on with the discussion?
Yeah, is the voice clear?
Yeah, yeah. So
Cool.
I just want to let everyone watching this know that you can ask any questions on the comments below.
Yeah,
So we will be attending to those towards the end. So our
yeah.
first topic of discussion would be regarding the scenario in the USA. So the job market is pretty bad, and like
Mm-hmm.
students kind of feel that there's a better chance to get into good unis because the number of applicants may reduce. So
Hmm.
do you think it's a good idea to pursue masters in the US right now?
Right. So I've studied myself in US. Like I did my master's in CS from UIUC. I did like MBA at NYU. I dropped out eventually, but I have studied there. So for one thing, I deeply believe that USA is definitely the best place to do your master's studies for grad school and all, because the quality of the teachers, the exposure, the curriculum, it's very industry related. It's very hands on. Plus the industry connect is huge, and peer learning, so it's very diverse. So when I graduated from UIUC, our convocation speaker that year was Javed Karim from YouTube. So YouTube came out from UIUC alum. So this is back in 2007. Like, so to get that kind of exposure is definitely possible more in US. So US has always been my favorite place to study, and that was also the reason I started Scholar Strategy. And we have always focused more on US than other countries. So I know there has always been all these consultancies focusing on like New Zealand, Australia, and all as well. I truly believe that you get the best ROI in US, and that was the reason we focused on that. Of course, the situation, a lot of global factors has been changing since last 3 4 years, especially since Trump came on board. So I think a lot of uncertainty right now is, one is COVID related, which is uniform throughout the globe. Because if you talk about like jobs getting lost, then jobs are getting lost in India as well, right? And in all the countries. So that's kind of like, uniformly the situation is bad, and the countries whose economy bounces back most quickly would be a better place. So that you can keep an eye on. But like US economy has actually not done bad so far, even after the coronavirus. Like if you compare the 2008 financial meltdown with coronavirus crisis, the market has not at all slowed down to that extent. That took years to recover. This time we have already bounced back to 50% of the fall down. So economy wise situation is not looking as bad. I think it's, as long as this distancing thing keep happening, obviously industries like hospitality, travel, and all those are going to be impacted. And second is that elections are coming in US. So until November, December, until those elections get over, Trump is doing a lot of these things to get that populist vote back. So after that, I expect things to smoothen down. But of course, like we have to wait and watch. US has been my favorite country, but right now there has been a lot of uncertainty. So yes, if you have the luxury of waiting, I would say let the situation unfold and take this call after the elections are over.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. That answers a lot of questions. And yeah, regarding the economy, we all know that US always has a way to come back from a crisis
Yeah,
when
and
it
we
comes to
are all
economy.
pegged upon US actually. So if US doesn't bounce back, rest assured rest of the world is not bouncing back.
Yeah, very true. Okay, so that brings us to the next question. So it would be great if you could shed some light on like the career prospects in other countries like Australia, UK, Europe, Canada, and like taking into consideration all prospects like salaries, standard of living, cost of living, and also if
Sure.
you could like include some programs like MS, MEM, and MIM in these countries.
Uh, Sure. So let's understand why we were looking at US in the first place. We were looking at US because the kind of industry connect, as I said, and especially because we are all STEM graduates, right? I'm also from computer science background. You guys are from all engineering background. So in our field, the industry, the innovation, the latest thing, everything which is happening is in US. Um, so US is kind of the best place to work in this sector, in technology, in STEM related fields, right? Uh, so that is still the case. However, to work in US, one of the best ways was to study from there, graduate from there, and then start working with these companies on H-1B visa. Now the whole, because there is a concern about H-1B itself, that whether you will get work visa or not, and then whether they are allowing you to stay in the long term or not, because a lot of people are also going abroad to kind of like get settled. So if those are the, if you're thinking long term stability perspective, settling down perspective, then the other countries which students have started looking at, and rightly so, are let's say, I think Canada is the first choice for most of the people, because Canada is kind of giving a very good quality of living, a lot of stability. Like you hear very few crimes in there. So if you are looking for family safety and all those things, then Canada is a very good choice. Um, what is the only downside of the Canada is, apart from the weather, it's like really cold place. I don't know if it suits everyone. Um, but apart from that, the salaries which you can expect in any of these countries outside US is easily like, a markdown of maybe 30-40% from US. So let me give you like average salary for an engineer after masters right now in US, I would say should be about 80, 90, maybe 80, 90K US dollar. In Canada, that probably might go down to 60, 70 US dollar. So the second country which people, lot of people prefer is Germany, and the reason for that is a subsidized education. Like the government in Germany has completely subsidized the tuition fee and all, so you literally end up paying no tuition fee. You only pay for the living expenses, which are very reasonable. But again, the downside, and you will get jobs there, like especially in machine learning and all. There are automotive. Germany has good opportunities. Some of my own clients are there. But again, the situation may happen that the salaries don't expect more than 50% of what you earn in US. So you have to take your pick. Are you looking for long-term stability, or are you looking for rapid career growth? Because I think that rapid career growth is kind of still, US is the best place for it. Other than that, I know a lot of people are looking at Europe. Europe again has a work permit has been an issue in Europe as well. So go by country, talk to someone who has graduated like within last 6 months or 1 year before you make that call. UK is one of the popular destinations in Europe, but many people are also going to like Switzerland or Netherlands, or there are other good universities as well. There, I think you have to figure out the work permit options. Are they happening easily in your field? Um, so US has been fine with H1B before this year, but like this year they have pulled a lot of shenanigans, and even I was pretty pissed off with their latest move against students, and banning H1B and all those things. That is not evoking a lot of confidence in US right now. So I would say if you have to consider other countries, I would probably pick Canada or Germany over Australia, or those other places, because I think those are okay. Australia, I feel still certain racism like issues can happen in Australia. Canada is pretty peaceful.
Okay,
And
thank you
you
so much.
talked about, Navneet, you also talked about niche MS programs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So when I started Scholar Strategy 6 years ago, MIS, MEM were just like starting in US, and a lot of people thought that if your profile is not good enough for masters in computer science, then you just apply for MIS. That's not the case, and that's not the case anymore. I think MIS, MEM are very good hybrid engineering management programs. They combine basic engineering courses with basic management courses, and prepare you for general information systems engineering management oriented roles, such as project management, such as maybe even product management, given your background. For example, MSNE from Stanford is a kick-ass course. Duke MEM is a pretty reputed course. Cornell has a MEM program. So MEM has now gotten pretty established in US, and a lot of students are preferring that because they don't want to go into very hardcore engineering kind of programs. Because what happens when I went for CS at UIUC, I had to take three core courses, and which included like theory of computation, algorithms, or stuff like that. Now, am I applying that day to day on my job? Most likely not. So unless you're planning to go to Google in a very algorithmic, like, developing some core product, architectural, those kind of roles, you don't really need computer science because computer science is not programming. Computer science is more than that. It's actually a theoretical course. If you just want to go for more for data science and all, then you have MS in data science kind of course, and Columbia has a very, very good program in that, right? So you can look into your interest. The good thing is these courses are definitely less competitive than MS in CS, but also they may actually give you a better chance of getting into that niche. So if you are for sure, like, if you know that I want to get into data science only, and especially if you're coming from non-CS background, then your chances of getting into MS in data science program is higher than MS in CS. So whenever you're switching streams, it's harder to justify. You have to work harder on your story. So think it like that. Like, are you very clear on your goals? The first step is to introspect, and I will talk more about that in a bit. I think um, masters should be looked on as a path to getting to your career goal. It's not a goal in itself. And that's the problem with our Indian mindset. We have always looked at competitive exams. In 11th and 12th, we were just like thinking that, like, somehow if we clear the engineering entrance exam, our life would be set. Then we do that. Then we start thinking, oh, I still don't know what to do. Let me just clear CAT somehow, and then my life will be set. We do that, and we reach the business school. And then again, we don't know, hey, should I go into banking? Should I go into consulting? Now there's no exam left, right? So that is a wrong approach. I would say instead think of what you really want to do in life, and is masters the right way to do it? Is MBA the right way to do it, or can I get to it through some other path as well? So don't make MS the end goal. If it makes sense with your career plan, then apply, and also have a clarity that if I don't get the desired thing, then I can do this. Anyways, I went on a digression there, but I think the point was important to make, that because that will help you choose the right program. For example, if I want to work on Wall Street, for example, and I want to maybe get in a more quantitative role, right? You can even do a MS in financial engineering instead of MS in CS. Uh, is your profile suited for that? Will you be able to put up a strong application for that? Of course, that is a different topic, but you can look at these niche programs. So some of my favorite niche programs would be definitely MIS, MEM programs are the engineering management programs. I've heard good, like, for example, one of our client went to MIT SDM program, and she had like 12, 13 years in Indian IT industry, and she was completely fed up of like office politics and everything, right? And she didn't want to invest as much energy and money into a proper MBA. They are like much more expensive, much more competitive. So she went for this MIT SDM program, and she is currently at Salesforce, working in a product management role, and she's earning very, very handsomely, right? So sometimes it's just about knowing what am I looking for and what can help me get there. So open your mind to these different choices. Some of them may be like really suited for what you need. And I'm happy to answer any specific questions about niche programs or any other country. So if you guys want to leave a comment about that, we can take it up at the end. Does that
Great.
make
Thank you
sense,
so much,
Navneet?
ma'am. Yeah, it does. Definitely does. I can relate to that personally as well because I'm also a pretty confused person when it comes to careers. But yeah, we'll be talking
We
about it
all are.
in a while.
In
Yeah.
India, I think we all are. And so yeah, so let's talk more about that. Yeah.
All right. So it would be great if you could provide us some tips to boost our resume during this lockdown. Most of us are kind of free, and
Mm-hmm.
like we're not really sure what exactly we should do, which will be the most effective for our resume.
Cool. So I can give you resume tips for sure. We have done that. I have written an extensive blog on and also recorded a video on our Scholar Strategy YouTube channel. But what I right now want to talk about is, and if you can share that image that I sent to you, the resume image. What I want to talk about is instead of thinking everything in our life, whether it's going to add on to our resume or not, and that's why we keep asking for these certificates, right? That we participate in an event and we want a certificate so that we can put it on the resume. Frankly, it doesn't matter. I mean, you have either gained something from that event, and that will anyway add to your profile, and it will help you do better in your interviews, or it won't. Like, just seeing that certificate is not the end objective. And if some of the Indian companies are hiring based on that, then it's really sad. But in US and all, because I've studied abroad, I've seen that, like, not even the admission committee, like master's admission committee, because I know how MS admission committee works. What are they looking for in your applications and all, right? They do not value all these things. So instead of thinking of resume itself, yeah, let me know when that image is up, Navneet. Um, I want you
Yes, ma'am, the image is
guys,
up.
okay, so I want you guys to think of, instead of resume, think of your job hunt strategy. And the problem there could be that, like, ask yourself, are you targeting the right roles? Are you applying at the right places? So job hunt has two aspects to it. Like, so by the way, this is like, we did a long career advice post on the Instagram account. That's where I picked this image from. So if you guys are on Instagram, do connect with me on, like, at Scholar Strategy. We keep doing this stuff there. So what you have to understand about job hunt is, there is a phase. There are two type of problems people are facing. You are you getting, like, is your resume getting shortlisted and you are getting interview calls, or and then you are not able to convert those? That is scenario one, that you are getting interview calls but you're not able to convert those. By the way, you can pull off that image, Navneet. And second kind of problem is that your resume is not even getting shortlisted, so you're not even getting interview calls, right? Now, if you are getting interview calls, you are going to the interview, but you're not able to convert the interview, then the problem lies with your subject expertise. That, let's say I'm applying for a data science role and I'm getting this interview call, but I'm not able to answer the questions and I'm not getting the job. Then that, what does that mean? That simply means that you don't know enough about the data science, and you need to do more preparation there. And for that, obviously, you can take more courses, you can just, like, brush up on your interview skills, you can like read more books, etc. That is one problem. Second problem is that you're not even getting interview calls. Now you may think that it's like the profile is bad itself. So unless it's a very bad GPA case, or or you are just, like, missing out putting some keywords, like data science related keywords in your resume. So by the way, resume has a thing called keywords. A lot of companies filter resumes using a software tool which filters it using keywords. So you should do keyword research about the jobs you are applying. And for example, in data science related roles, that could be Python, that could be machine learning, that could be probability, that could be statistics, that could be R, whatever it is. So figure out the right keywords for your target industry. So if you are using all that, if your GPA is also okay and you're still not getting interview calls, then figure out, maybe your background is not suiting that. Maybe, like, there's a mismatch between what you have done, what you know, and what you're applying to. So that is a bigger question. What happens is, people think, what can I do right now? Okay, I'm getting this job, let me take up this job. Now I'm not enjoying that, what can I do? Hey, let me do masters. They do masters, then they again. Instead of this, if you just spend 6 months introspecting what you should be doing in life, you can save easily 5 to 10 years later on. So what's happening is, my colleagues, right, from my same engineering batch, who are in mid 30s in the IT industry right now, many of them are stagnated. Why? Because everyone is not going to get promoted to the next level. You either don't have the right degree, not the right skills, or for whatever reason, everyone is not going to get promoted. You can't stay there. You are either climbing up or you're going down. There's no staying there, because company in your salary can afford 3 freshers. So if you're not adding value, a lot of them are feeling that their job is at risk. And now they're going to upgrade to do a certification on data science and then competing with freshers in data science. That just does not make sense. So all this could be avoided if in the early stages of your career you guys spend some more time thinking about what are my interests, what am I good at, and what is the intersection. So Navneet, can you pick that image, the second image that I sent, because I think that really um,
Yeah,
tells a
the
lot
one.
about, like, how to think about careers. So there is a
Yeah, sure.
sweet career spot, which is the intersection of what I'm good at and what I want to do in life. So again, this is also taken from our Instagram. So we are trying to kind of educate people that life is not a resume, right? It took me 3 degrees, 2 countries, 3 jobs, and a decade to really figure out what I want to do. So I can code. I can code as well as any of you can, right? But I didn't want to code in my job. Like, that is not something I'm passionate about. So eventually, slowly, I moved out of that like tech coding career to writing, to more creative career, because I am fundamentally a very, like, I'm more of a creative person. It took time for me to understand that, um, and then figure out a career, right? So we can really save a lot of time if you guys do this exercise early on. So if that image is available right now, then I just want to highlight that that sweet spot you guys are seeing is where you are high on expertise. It is something you know, and you're high on enthusiasm. That is when you will really enjoy working. That is when you will really feel like waking up early on Mondays and, like, doing some work. It could be so your own job, or like you could even start your company, or you could be at a job itself. So it's not really about starting up or not. I've written a whole book on startup. I can talk about that. But I don't think it's about starting up or doing a corporate job. Some people can completely excel, like Sundar Pichai. He has excelled at his corporate job. He enjoyed that. It was a good fit for him. Or someone else, like Unacademy guys in India. They have created a company because nothing like that existed, and they are like really kicking ass at it. I've interviewed them in my book, and they're really passionate guys, right? So your passion could vary, but spotting it early on is really important. We can remove that image now, Navneet. And I don't know, does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it definitely does. And I truly relate with that also. I was also like most of my friends were basically like doing a bunch of courses which weren't really related to their field. They weren't really
Yeah,
sure why they were doing it. They just wanted to boost their CV. So like I
exactly.
kind
So
of
this
realized that
boosting
it's
this CV at some point is a no return exercise, right?
yeah.
Because bunch of certifications is not going to add as much as to once you figure out that, like, that actually I would be very good at a digital marketing role. And if you go for that, you will really enjoy it. And when you do something which you are deeply interested in, you will excel at it, and you will get promoted faster. You would take more initiatives, and then you will be good at that. So figure out what that is. And I like millennials, like, they have really broken all the rules. I mean, we are seeing so many YouTubers, we are seeing so many Instagrammers, we are seeing so many people who are getting into these unconventional field. And I mean, you can judge them all they want, but frankly, some of them are really kicking ass. They know how to game that social media channel. They are really good at it, and they are making awesome money. They are making more money than TCS and Wipro guys. So think of what you really want to do, and I would highly encourage that, because that's the field I am in right now. I invest a lot in courses, right? So I just completed I am now a career coach, a certified career coach, coaching based on neuroscience, on brain principles. So for last 6 months, that's what I've been doing, and I'm deeply studying about, like, what makes a career right for someone, how to spot that, because the challenge has always been, like, how do you find that out, what you want to do in life. So anyways, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. So now the next question is something that concerns me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So for those students who are still unsure about what exactly they want to do after college,
Hmm.
so it'll be great if you can share some advice on how to figure out. Because like,
Yeah.
should I go for placements or do masters? Or some students even don't know what they want to pursue yet. Like they don't know
Yeah.
their domain of interest. So
Yeah.
could you shed some light on that?
Sure, and trust me, like I was in the same boat, and I've seen literally every Indian in the same boat. There are very few, probably less than 2% people who very clearly know that this is what I want to do, and they find it early in life. I mean, Steve Jobs said that I'm lucky that I figured out very early what I wanted to do in life. So he acknowledged that it was luck that he figured it out, because otherwise people keep spending so much time in that. So I completely understand that. That's understandable, because we in India, especially in our schools and all, we have never been taught to look at things from that perspective, that figure out what your strengths are, what you want to do. Those things. We are always told that you are free to pursue your passion, but first you have to get an engineering degree, right? I mean, I eventually became an author, but I had to first become an engineer. So that's how the state of things in India are. Uh, so let's address this placement versus MS question first, because a lot of you must be thinking about that. I think MS you should do only when you are very clear that I want to do masters. Otherwise, you should take up a job and see how things are in the real world in the industry, because that will make it clear that either you love being in the industry and you don't feel the need for a master's anymore, or it will make it clear that god, this sucks, this field is not for me, so I can now go for masters or MBA or something, and let me again experiment, right? Or I enjoyed that subject more than working in this programming role, for example. So MS go only if you know that, yes, I want to be in this field, and this is the curriculum, and I am going to gather these things from it. So then going for masters makes sense. But if you're not at all clear, go for a job, because that will either make your conviction more stronger about MS, and that is always good to know. Plus, it helps. For example, when you are interviewing for internships in masters, right? Your previous work experience is very helpful, and it can differentiate you from freshers. So you can leverage that. Um, and you would know the industry perspective. So when you're answering the interview questions, you can always bring in this perspective of how you have seen something happening in the real professional world. So that is like, a win-win situation. For a master's in engineering kind of a field, I do not recommend more than 2 years of experience, because it really doesn't incremental years do not help much. MBA, I think, should be done in the very last point of your career, when you are super clear that this is what I want to get out of my MBA. It should not. I'm pretty against doing MBA right after college, and I can tell you why. But I think you guys have a lot of like discussion on MBA already. So between masters and placements, if it's not clear to you, I would say do a job first and see how things look to you. And that will either make it clear that you should be doing masters. So that is placement versus masters. Secondly, you asked about what if we don't know what our interests are. So there are two ways to go about it. And like I would ask questions like these. Like I would ask you, when you're not doing assignment work, when you're not working on a college project or something, when you're not doing something which you have to do, what are you doing at that point? So for example, what kind of websites do you surf? Like if you have to take a course on Udemy, what topic course do you pick usually? If you have to give like if you have to teach one class to rest of your classmates or friends, what topic would you pick? So that shows what you are interested in. So Navneet, if I may ask you, uh, some of us are like, what kind of stuff do you like to learn
Yeah.
late night when
Uh,
you're working on, and what kind of, like, do you want to go, like, do you like going through coding sites? Do you spend a lot of time on HackerRank? Do you like to design stuff?
yeah, generally I'm into stock market, so I generally
Okay,
follow a lot of articles regarding these companies and stuff, and
right, right.
try to invest something. So
Yeah,
that's what I've been up to recently. But I
yeah.
also read books regarding business because I just got into it recently. So
Right. So what are the topics you're reading books on? Which ones are you liking? So that is what tells you what your interests are. So stock market definitely looks one of your interests. Um, so like you can take a course on valuation. Professor. So I was at NYU. Professor Aswath Damodran is one of the like world's best professors on valuation, and I think his courses he streams it free as well. So like explore few of your interests further. And if it really like makes you feel alive when you're doing something you like, you will feel that energy from within. So you would know that this is something. And the probably people make the mistake that, so like, I met this girl and she loves dogs. She just loves dogs. I think she has 3 dogs and she is like always around dogs. And one would think that, okay, I love dogs, but what kind of career can I build from that? By the way, she went to LSE, like London School of Economics, or Oxford, I'm forgetting. She has done a degree from there. So she is very, very well qualified person. Eventually, she started her own therapy startup in which she uses dogs to do therapy with people, with kids, right? So I really mean that, like, if you explore your interest, there are always something you can do professionally as well. So don't think that, oh, cooking, this is a rubbish interest. There cannot be a career around it. I mean, people are making millions on cookery channels on YouTube. So there is always, you can figure out how to monetize that. But first step is to acknowledge your interests. And as I said, what kind of what would be a course you would teach your friends on? What is usually the advice your friends come to you to ask on? Those are the kind of things that tell you what you are deeply interested in.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So
Yeah.
yeah, that really like helps me as well because I was also confused about this. I'm
Yeah, and
still
please feel
figuring
free
out.
to
So
contact me, have happy to help any of you out. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, sure, sure, will do. So I guess that brings an end to the discussion session. So now we
Mm-hmm.
can go to the question session, FAQ.
Sure.
So I shall just look through the questions.
Sure.
Okay, so the first question is by Aman Kuril. So, ma'am, if rapid growth is considered mm, to make a career in, what do you think of having a job in London, considering it is a really good city to make a career in? Do you think Brexit is going to help Indian students as such?
London is a good place to be. London, New York, these are like, very, very global places. So more than a local influence, I think they are very driven by like, globally what's happening. So London is definitely a good place. The fundamental difference I see between Europe and US, and why I'm still slightly biased towards US. So Europe, people still do not have a tendency of going for a lot of like higher education and all. But US, a lot more people are definitely going for higher education, for MBA and all, and they recognize that in the workplaces as well. In UK workplaces, usually people just keep working. Some of them may not even have finished college. They are just working from a long time and they just keep rising the ladder because of the experience they have. So they do not really appreciate higher education as much. So if you're thinking of like higher education in London and then getting a job there, I would say I still prefer US. Secondly, I would say that yes, at that time, Brexit and all this European Union confusion and all is definitely making things a little unstable. But I have a lot of friends working in UK, so I think it depends on your company, and if they are giving the work permit and overall situation is looking okay, then London is definitely worth a place to be considered.
Okay, perfect. Okay, next question. So, yeah, this is by Lasya Reddy. So,
Mm-hmm.
hi, I'm an NITK civil engineering graduate from the batch of 2020. I have received
Okay.
an admit from a reputed US university for Masters of Science of Structural Engineering, fall 2020.
Hmm.
However, due to the ongoing uncertainty, I have decided to defer my decision, my admission to fall
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
How do you think I could make use of my time until admission next year?
Hmm. Okay. So let me talk in general about like how we can do things and not very civil engineering perspective, and I can come to that later. So in general, I think what I would like to fill this time with is so again, do it's a good time because you've got this spare time. Think about what you want to do masters and after masters. What is your eventual career goal? What are the skills required to excel in that goal, in that role? And what are you missing, what are you good at, what are you not good at? So you would find there are some skill gaps in your profile, and I would work on that, because that will then definitely help you once you start doing masters. Like things happen pretty quickly, you won't get time to prepare at that point of time. So use this time to kind of like, definitely I would polish my LinkedIn profile. I would create a resume, I would create a cover letter, I would do company research and list down 50 companies that would be my target for job application. And I would do a comprehensive understanding of what are the skills required, what kind of interviews are happening, and what am I good at, what am I not good at. I can take some courses right now. Like if I say that skill 1, 2, and 3 are missing, and I would like to work on those, then you can either take a course on that, do a internship if you can in India to again get more exposure on those skills which are required. So so I don't know about structural engineering, but definitely real estate and all those construction management, all those fields are slightly impacted by COVID. So you should also maybe look at what are some alternative areas that I can look at, so that, like, keeping enough options so that your job hunt is not, don't keep all your eggs in one basket, and figure out what is the situation in US in those areas, because I do think travel, hospitality, um, airlines, obviously, uh, real estate. These industries are really badly impacted because of coronavirus. So think of alternatives, and whatever you think of, how to build your profile in that. That's what I would spend time on.
Okay,
I
thank you,
hope
ma'am.
that answers. Yeah.
Yeah. So next question is by Amol Chennai. So, ma'am, what is the scope of masters in social work in countries like Canada, Australia, and UK?
Okay. I probably am not the best person for that. I've not really worked with a lot of candidates in those fields. I don't know what you mean by social work. Is it because there are also, like, MBA with a non-profit concentration that you can go for? So it depends on what you're looking for. I'm not really sure. I would evaluate any course that I'm going for. I would talk to current graduates and all. Are you looking for a job after that? Are you looking for visa sponsorship after that? And is that going to happen in these fields? So be clear on that. So, for example, I don't know about this field, frankly, so I don't want to mislead you. But for example, MS in marketing, right? So in US, marketing is a great place to be in, and but the problem is in H1B sponsorship, because marketing, HR, these are the roles which are client facing roles, and they prefer native Americans to be in those roles instead of internationals. So in my MBA days itself, like companies like Amex, which obviously sponsors H1 for STEM fields, they were not sponsoring H1B for marketing fields. So I would find out stuff like that, and then decide that if the ROI makes sense of these kind of programs. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm
Okay.
not, more than that, I'm not an expert in this field.
Okay. No worries. Next question. It's by Vinayak Singh.
Mhm.
Excuse me. So, what exactly is the placement procedure in countries like US, Canada, etc.?
Mhm.
And what things are very crucial for getting good placements? Loan options for someone with not so strong financial background, and what is the general time period required to pay back the loan?
Okay, so those are three questions. Let me first address the placement part. So the placement part in US is definitely much more structured than what is it in Indian colleges, right? So usually it works the way is, they have a proper office for, like, career placement office, and it's not run by just students and faculty. It's run by its own administrative team and all, and it's like a marketing department for the university, because they know that the more the students get placed, the higher they can charge in fee, or their ranks would be higher and more students would be applying. So it's really crucial for them. um, the way it works is they start doing career fairs and all from, so if you're going in fall, right, you start your school in August, career fairs start happening even from, like, let's say September or October. And the career fairs are usually a big hall, and all the companies would come and they will have their booths settled in there, a table and their stuff. And students go in, they drop their resume, they talk to these company representatives. On spot there might be a mini interview, and then if you make a good impression on the company representative there, they would call you for an in-person interview, which usually happens just like that night or next day itself, because these are like just 2 days the company is coming. They will do this booth, they will talk to students, they will interview some of them, and they will next is the the on-site round. So they will select students and you will be called to the headquarters for the next round of the interview. So it's very, very structured in those 2 3 days. That is if you're going via the campus route. So it works same for internships and full-time offers. So I think it happens at least twice a year, one in spring semester, one in fall semester. You will have this big career fair. Apart from these, companies come, they give a lot of like presentation. Like I remember in my UIUC days, every second week, companies like Microsoft, Google, Citigroup, where I ended up going, Wall Street banks and all, they had their own slots. They would come, they would like talk to students. They would some of them even made offer right on campus after talking to you. um, that is like, again, everything is on campus. So if you, the better university you're going to, this process would be more seamless and better companies would be coming on campus. If you're going to, like, let's say tier 2 tier 3 university, then they may not have a lot of companies coming on campus. You can still apply to online thing. Like some of them come through like career portals. They will say that now we have openings from these companies, students can apply. And if all that doesn't work, then of course you can always apply on your own. And I have seen that working out as well. So US, I feel, is much more meritocratic than India. Like Google doesn't care if you're coming from a tier 3 or tier 4 school. If you are really, really good programmer and hacker, if you crack their interviews, they will be happy taking you. So they really look at resume there, and a person who has submitted resume plainly on Google website, they will be happy to interview you and extend an offer if they find you. Apart from that, a lot of hackathons and everything keeps happening. So find those channels to build your network and then do other stuff. But placements are pretty seamless. In Universities provide a lot of, and these career placement offices, they provide a lot of support. Like they conduct workshops on resumes, they do cover letter reviews. Like I remember in my MBA days, I told them that I'm looking to get into like startups, and it's not a very set stream, right? So can you put me in touch with some alumni who are working in these kind of places? And they did that. They're happy to make an intro. So they're super helpful. It's up to you how much you want to utilize them. Coming to the education loan, sorry, what was the question, Navneet?
Yeah, so he just wanted loan options for someone who's not so strong financially. So
Loan, I think many students end up taking loans. So you can either take a loan from Indian banks. So you will have to, interest rates vary a lot. And then if you're going with a public like state bank and all, like the rates might be good, but they really take a long processing time. Then you have like international bodies like Prodigy Finance and stuff like that, which are pegged to dollar, I believe. But they give that only to select universities, like top 10 15 universities. If you have an admit from, then you can get a loan from Prodigy. So on our blog we have like this full listing and what are the considerations. Should you take it from an Indian versus international lender, and best if you have like some relative in US or something and you can take a loan from there using someone as a co-signer. I think that works out the best interest rate, but of course not everyone has that. So education loans are pretty like standard thing. So please check out on my blog. I don't have all the numbers and interest rates on top of my head right now, but on scholarstrategy.com/blog, if you just search for loan, you will find two very detailed posts in there. Yeah.
okay, great. Now last two questions.
Sure.
Yeah, by Mansi Saxena. So, hi, ma'am. Would US be a choice at this point for MS and CS because of their the whole visa procedures, immigration laws, etc.? And if someone is looking to settle abroad for a long duration. So,
Okay,
yeah,
so hi Mansi. So you're basically asking, is US worth considering right now? So as I think wait until the elections are over. If you already had an admit, I think people have deferred, and rightly so. Like if you have the luxury, if the time is not running out for you, and if you can defer, I would say it doesn't harm waiting for 6 more months and seeing how things are going. US, I think once the election is over, then things will be much more stable, and then we have to only look at how coronavirus is playing out. Because if they just keep running it online for a long time and keep charging the same tuition fee, then I think a lot of people are not going to go for that option, because then ROI becomes a question mark. Secondly, what was happening is, if you take a lot of online courses only, then you probably cannot get CPT, which you require to do the internship in the first year. That is, if you want to do an industrial internship. So that is also a downside of online classes. So ask yourself, am I comfortable with that? But if if all these factors are taken aside, and these things get resolved, then I always bet on US. I think like companies like Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, Google, they are there for a reason, and I've seen people building just excellent careers there. So if all these other global factors calm down a bit, definitely consider US. But for now, I would definitely wait and watch until the elections are over, and maybe till next summer probably is when the situation would be more clear about this pandemic thing.
Okay. Last question. So it's by
And
Saurav
by the
Jain.
way, Mansi, I write a lot about US because I'm very passionate about MS and US. We run a whole Facebook group on it. Try to find it. You can join us there. I write a lot on LinkedIn, guys. So if you guys want, just follow me there, and you can always initiate a conversation. So happy to help.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, last question by Saurav
Yeah.
Jain. What are your thoughts on pursuing masters in psychology and following a corresponding career path after an engineering degree?
Which country are you targeting?
He hasn't really mentioned, but I guess in general. So
Uh,
he's talking about
so
the path
again,
thing, right?
if we talk about US, then my concern would be the work visa thing. So and does that really qualify in STEM? If it's not a STEM field, then you have only 1 year on OPT, which means you can only work for 1 year maximum after graduation if you do not get H1B, right? That's the downside of all these non-STEM courses. So I would definitely figure that out if you're targeting US. MS in psychology. So in India also we have like Ashoka universities and all these places coming up, which are doing very good work in liberal art programs. My concern with them is still the industry connect is not clear. Like, what after masters would you be able to get a good industrial opportunity, or do you want to start on your own? If you want to start on your own, then it's still fine. But if you're looking for getting some industrial exposure, are these Indian universities helping with that out? Because I have talked to someone, I think MS in philosophy or MA in philosophy, or some person from Ashoka University, and then she was again looking to do a master's from US. So I would say do talk to graduates from that program. These are excellent programs and all, but if you want work exposure, if you want professional opportunities, then do find out if that program is going to give you that or not. And if you're seeing a lot of graduates being able to find a way into the industry and work it out, then yeah, why not? So yeah, okay. So and if someone is switching from engineering to psychology, then that's a major change. So I would say do think it out and have a proper plan in place, rather than just jumping it and thinking that I will figure it out later.
Okay. Okay. So I think the time has come to wrap this session up. So thank you
Yeah.
so much, ma'am. The session was very insightful and very
Thanks,
helpful to a lot
Navneet.
of us.
I had a good time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we too had a very great time. So, yeah, final point for the viewers. So, any questions that were unanswered will be answered through our blog. So, thank you so much, everyone. Take care, stay safe.
Yeah, and guys, feel free to contact me also. You guys can share it like Nishta at scholarstrategy.com. I'm pretty active everywhere on internet, so you can follow us anywhere like Instagram, LinkedIn, Quora, whatever works for you. So, but yeah, good luck with it. I know it's a tricky time for all of you, but I just wish you guys make some good career choices. And maybe this pandemic is forcing you to think more deeply about what should be done in life. So maybe that would be a silver lining to it, right?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye for now.